all human beings are susceptible to toxic or unhealthy relationships. And today, I'd like us to look at the story of Samson and Delilah as recorded in Judges chapter 16 and pick out some marks of toxic relationships. Well, the first mark of a toxic relationship is that it is characterized by deception. In verse 4 of Judges chapter 16, this is what we read. Sometime later, he, that is Samson, fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. It's interesting that the text reports that Samson loved Delilah, but it doesn't record that she loved him back. This hints to the fact that his love for her was unreciprocated. She was just probably deceiving him in this relationship, and she did not reciprocate his love. Delilah seems to have deceived Samson into believing that she loved him, when in reality, she didn't love him at all. Samson was in love with someone who wasn't in love with him. Samson was open with someone who was not open with him. Samson made himself vulnerable to somebody that did not make herself vulnerable, with him. You know what, friends? It's dangerous to be in a relationship that is not reciprocal. It is dangerous to be in a partnership with people who do not feel for you the way you feel for them. It is dangerous to give of yourself fully, to people who are not giving of themselves fully to you. If you ever realize that you are in a deceptive relationship, maybe it's time you reevaluated that particular relationship. Well, the second mark of a toxic relationship is that it is characterized by demands. Using her power of deception, Delilah persistently wore down Samson with repeated demands. So demanding and manipulative was Delilah that Samson finally divulged the secret of his strength. In verse 6, we read, "So Delilah said to Samson, 'Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued.'" In verse 10, the Bible says, "Then Delilah said to Samson, 'You have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied.'" Demand after demand. In verse 15 all the way to 17 we read, "Then she said to him, 'How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me? This is the third time you have made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength.' With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. So he told her everything. 'No razor has ever been used on my head,' he said, 'because I have been a Nazarite set apart to God since birth. If my head was shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man.'" Dear ones, you do well to be careful when dealing with people who are demanding. You do well to be careful when dealing with people who are manipulative. You do well to being careful when dealing with people who are controlling. Well, the third pointer of a toxic relationship is that it's characterized by disloyalty. Delilah's presence in the relationship seems to be fueled by disloyal determination and money-hungry ambition. This is what Judges 16 verse 5 says. The rulers of the Philistines went to her, this is Delilah, and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." Because of the allure of money, Delilah is disloyal to Samson. She does not have his best interest at heart, and so she betrays him for monetary gain. Friends, I put it to us that any meaningful relationship has to be characterized by loyalty. The last mark of a toxic relationship I'd like to mention is that it is destructive in nature. Yes, folks, an unhealthy relationship can cause harm. An unhealthy, toxic relationship can cause damage. An unhealthy, toxic relationship can cause destruction. Isn't it a shame that the life of the strongest man ever born came to a sad, destructive end because of being in a wrong relationship? Verses 18 to 21, this is what the Bible says. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. Having put him to sleep on her lap, she called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him. And his strength left him. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, ouch, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with the bronze shackles, they set him to grinding in the prison. The wrong relationship between Samson and Delilah ultimately broke Samson and led to his downfall and destruction. Listen, friends, the sad reality is that if you do not break from a bad relationship, that bad relationship will ultimately break you. And how I pray that the Lord would protect us from unhealthy relationships.